Started recording and we're good to go. What is the first way of which we have spoken in this class? Actually, what is any of the four ways? Just give me one and we'll work from there. Slope-intercept. Which looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. And we know some stuff about that, don't we? The x and the y are what? Yeah, they're numbers that we find they are points. X comma y. So if you know, if I have this, 5 comma 2, that can go in here. Yes? But we have to be careful because some of you will want to put that 2 for the b. Is that okay? No, the 2 goes for the y. The 5 would go for the x. All right, so we know that they're x and y's. What else do we know about that? About that form? Right, we know b is the y-intercept, which is, of course, 0b, right? The b is a y value, but it's not this y value. Everybody cool? All right. And what else do we know in there? M is slope. And slope is a whole bunch of things, isn't it? Right? M is the slope. It's the rise over run. But it might be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you know 2 points, you can find the slope and put that in for m. M and that. And everyone's cool with that, right? How do we know we're in slope-intercept form? And all this is true. What is the one thing that has to have happened? Y is isolated. So slope-intercept, all we have to do is isolate y. Sometimes that gives us a fraction for b. Is that okay? Yeah, then it's just a little trickier to graph. We're not going to be graphing much this unit, so it's okay. Right? Okay. Isolate y. Watch for fractions on b. Everybody's cool with slope-intercept form, right? Super easy. We like it. We can deal with it. Slope-intercept has a friend. What is it? Slope point. And it's very similar, isn't it? It's y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And what do we know about x1 and y1? Right, they're the points on the graph. But remember, and I'm going to put an exclamation point before it and an exclamation point after it, they're opposites, right? Does everything else from slope-intercept apply here? Everything except the y-intercept, right? Could I put that 5 in somewhere? Where would that 5 go? X1. Where would that 2 go? Y1. And then where could that go? Right there. And once we know that, we can do the rest of the work, right? Okay. What if I told you there was another point on this graph at 8, 4? Where would that y and x go now? Right. Where would the 4 go? Right. And where would this 8 go? X. Because we already know these two from up here. Everybody cool? Everyone's good with slope-intercept? Point slope? All right. What's the third and the fourth way? They're almost the same. Right. General. Yes, sir. And that guy is ax plus by plus c equals 0. And this is super easy. What do we know about the x and the y? Again, they're points, right? So where would that green 5 go? No. No. Just the x. Where would that 2 go? Just the y. Do I see a slope in there? No. Do I see a y-intercept in there? No. Because y is not isolated. Some of you are going to tell me that this c is b. Is it? No. Not until y is what? If I moved this whole equation around so y was completely by itself, then that constant would be b. But it's not right now. Everybody good? This is really only good for one thing. And it's good for... It's supposed to be green. Graphing by intercept. Because we can easily make x 0 or y 0, right? That's about the only thing this is good for. What's this guy's ugly cousin, which I'm going to do in a different color green? Standard form, and what's the difference? Yeah, C is isolated. And what's the only thing we care about here about A, B, and C? What do they have to be? Must be whole numbers. And A must be what? And those are the 4 things we already have. And that's how we ended last unit, right? We ended it right here, trying to use more algebra than graphing, but we were still dabbling in graphing, yes? So now let's do some algebra. So the first question asks, find a linear function with a slope of 5 and a y-intercept of 4. Which of those 4 should we use? Why? Because I got a y-intercept and a slope. So it's really easy to write. I wrote that one in black. What is it?
Y equals 5x plus 4.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy, yeah? No problem at all. We could graph it, but we're not going to because we're just dealing with writing now, yeah? All right. Now I want to see the other or 2 other forms of that. Okay? So, standard I did in this yucky green. How would I make this standard form? What's the only thing that has to move?
4.
X is positive and x is a whole number. Should I move it? No. So 5x can stay right there. What else moves? I heard somebody saying y. The y has to get over with the x, doesn't it? So what's going to happen to it? Negative y. And where does this 4 need to go? Away, because I want standard form. So it becomes what? Negative 4. Can I write it that way? Can I write it this way? Would I ever dock you marks for writing it this way? Never in a million years. Jenna, I brought the thing to clip your lock off on Friday and you weren't here. Do you still have the lock on your backpack?
No.
Oh.
Smashed off.
Well done.
My friend was like, I'm going to get that off for you.
Okay.
So he took this like, metal thing that he had in his bag and he just started like whacking it. And I was like, what are you doing? And the lock came off.
So your friend just carries a piece of metal in his bag that is strong enough to break off a lock.
Apparently.
I see. You have interesting friends.
Yeah.
To be fair, on Friday, I had bolt cutters in my backpack, which would look suspicious. Oh! Story time. Yesterday, I'm driving along the road by the Save On Foods. No, not Save On Foods. What used to be Save On Foods by Castle Fun Park. Right? So it's now that gym. So I'm driving along. I'm driving around that corner, and I see on the ground something. I don't want to drive over it because I don't know what it is. And as I drive up closer and I'm driving around it, I see that it's a wallet. I'm like, and I keep driving because we had to get the kids to Vancouver and we were a little bit behind. So I'm driving, it's like, argh! And Catherine says, what? There was a wallet on the ground back there. And she's like, ugh. Because we've both driven away our cars with our wallets on the top and had them fall off. And it's a super pain in the ass when you're growing up. For you guys, you've got your student card in it and your bank card. Big deal. It's not hard to get everything back. But grown-ups have actual stuff in their wallet. So I was like, damn. So I turned in the parking lot, went back around, picked up the wallet. You're not going to believe it. It was a cop's with his badge in it. And wait for it, Sage, it gets better. I look like him. If I cut my hair really short, like cops cut their hair, I look exactly like this dude. Except he's 188 centimeters tall, and I'm only 174 centimeters tall. But nobody knows how tall they are in centimeters. Nobody would ever look. I could have been a cop forever. But I wasn't. I phoned around, and I found out how to get it back to the guy. But he'd already canceled all his credit cards. So when he picked it up, he's like, well, I would have paid for your dinner, but I've canceled all my credit cards. I was like, yeah, sure. The only person cheaper than teachers are cops. So I bet he hadn't even canceled them. But yeah, it had his badge and everything. Anyway, back to work. How will I turn this? I don't want to highlight that in green. It's already green. How will I turn that into that? What's the only thing that moves? The 4. So I get 5x. I should do that in dark green because I'm keeping the colors. 5x minus y, what? Plus 4 equals what? 0. Could I have the 0 over here? Am I perfectly happy if you put the 0 on the left? Of course I am. No marks would be lost. And that's how easy it is. This whole unit is just moving algebra around. Now, next year, there's going to be exponents here. There's going to be crazy stuff going on. Does anything actually change? No, we're just moving stuff around, doing the algebra we already know how to do. Cool? Okay. What are we going to use here? Why would we use slope point, Nathan? Because I have a slope, which I've been highlighting in blue, an x, which I've been highlighting in green, and a y, which I've been highlighting in yellow. Slope point form. So I write it out. And I believe I wrote slope point form out in red. So, what will this be? I'm going to write it on the top of my next page. You guys can write it right here. It doesn't matter. What will it be? Y plus 2 equals 2/3. Perfect. Now let's move that guy around. How do you want to start? What do you want to move it to first? Because it doesn't matter, because they're all exactly the same thing, aren't they? They're all x's, y's, and numbers. So we can do any one of them. Well, which one are we going to? Oh, we're getting rid of brackets. We got to get rid of brackets for all of them, don't we? So you want to get rid of those brackets. Now, I showed you a little shortcut to get rid of those brackets. Does anybody remember it? I'm sorry, Prab? Multiply everything by 3 now. So what's this side going to be? 2. No, we're getting rid of the 3 because we multiply by 3. 2x 12, because that 2 distributes in, right? And if I multiply this side by 3, what do I do to this side? 3. So what do I get on the left? 3y plus 6. Now, I'm almost at all of them, aren't I? Okay, so where should we go first? Standard form because it's A? Sure, what's got to move? Should I touch that x? Why not? It's positive, it's a whole number, so that x isn't moving. So does this guy move? What's going to happen? Minus 3y. Now, do I want either of these numbers with this? No, so I want the numbers away from the letters. So which of them should move? If 12 comes over here, what does it become? 12 plus 6, which is 18. Am I done? Could the 18 be on the left? Yes, it could, Satchip. No. Like that. Both of them are okay, right? Correct. I need to stop saying left and right because we're doing a lot of left and right now. Yeah? What's the only thing that moves there to do general form? So what would it be? What kind of 3y? Negative 3y, and then negative 18, and what will all that equal? 0. And then, what do I do for slope-intercept form? Isolate y. Right? So what should move from these three? I should move the y because I need it to be positive, don't I? So 2x minus 18 will equal 3y. Now what? 1 second, I got to... Why do you need the y to be positive? Because y must be isolated. And if there's a negative in front of y, it is not isolated. That's negative 1 times y. Divide by 3. Where, Sam? Everywhere. So it's 2/3 x minus what? 6 equals y. So easy, right? Like really. We're not doing anything, crazy here. We're just moving stuff around. Do I even have to remember what all these look like? Why not? Because it's on your sheet. I do have to remember what all the numbers mean, or what all the letters mean, but I don't have to remember what it looks like, right? Okay. What are we doing here? Read number 5. I need slope-intercept form. So I'm going to need y equals mx plus b, correct? Okay. So what do I have right now that will help me get here? I could put it in point slope form, except something's still missing. Slope is missing. So what should I do? Find slope. What does slope equal again? Okay, so what is that?
4 minus 5.
That will work. Now, once you've set that up, we got to be careful what's going here. Nice. Right. What's 5 minus 4? Negative 1. What's negative 2 minus 1? Negative 3. 2 negatives make what? So what's the slope? 1/3. If that's the slope, it also equals m, doesn't it? So over here, I have y equals 1/3 x plus b, correct? Now the only thing I need to find is b, correct? But I have 3 unknowns there, don't I? Or do I? I have no unknown. I only have 1 unknown, right? Y. What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? Could I put those numbers there? Could I put those numbers there? If I put any of them in, am I in business? Okay. Which one do you guys want to use? 1 and 5? Okay, so what would I write right here? 5, not 5y, just 5. Because 5 is a y. Equals what? 1/3 of what? 1 plus what? B. Well, what's 1/3 times 1? 1/3. So 5 equals 1/3 plus b. I got to isolate b, don't I? Well, how do I get rid of this 1/3? Where would it have to go? Other side and become what? Negative. What's 5 minus 1/3? 4 and 2/3. So b must equal 4 and 2/3. If that equals b, what do I need to write right there? 4 and 2/3. And then, am I in slope-intercept form? Yes, I am. Y equals 1/3 x plus 4 and 2/3. Would that be easy to graph? It would be slightly difficult. Why? Because there's a fraction. So I'd have to do some of that scale changing, right? Right? But we're not graphing today because it doesn't matter. We're just writing the equation out. So even though it's ugly, are we done? Yes. You guys are brilliant. Uh-oh. Look at 6 and tell me what you want to say immediately, and then tell me why that's wrong. You want to say slope-intercept because you see slope and an intercept. Why is that wrong? It's an x-intercept. So what is this? What is x-intercept of 2 as a point? 2, 0. So now I have a slope and a point, don't I? I don't have the slope and the correct intercept, do I? So what do I have to use? Yeah, which I was writing in red. But it came out in black, of course, because, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. What goes where? 0 goes in for y1. Absolutely correct. There. And where does this one go? x1. So, what is y minus 0 equals, what's m? 5/3 x minus 2. Now, would we ever leave this here? So y equals 5/3 x minus 2. Now, is that technically point-slope form? Yeah. So could you leave it that way? Easy peasy. Some of you won't want to leave it that way because it doesn't look like point-slope and it doesn't quite look like slope-intercept. But it is point-slope form, isn't it? Because of this. Y minus 0 is just y. All right? Everybody with me? You can keep the brackets because that is okay. Because I didn't say what form I wanted it in. I just said I wanted the equation. So you could leave it like that. Okay, what do we have to do with 7? What do we got? Parallel. So, what have we got to work with? It's the same thing. We have our x, we have our y, right? And what do we know about parallel? Same what? Same slope. So if I know this slope, do I know this slope? Okay, how will I find this slope? Pardon me? It is a number next to the x, but something has to happen first. I got to isolate y. Now, since I'm only looking for slope, does this number mean anything? Does it? No. So all I got to do is isolate y. So 4y is going to equal what? No. Negative 2x. And then what's y going to equal? Negative 1/2, because I'm going to divide by 4, correct? Now, if y equals negative 1/2, what is that? That's my m. What's missing over here on the black side of the work? It's missing an m because I have a point. So what can I write here now? Negative 1/2. Now, can I put that 3 piece of information into one of our 4 choices? Which one is the best one to use? Slope-intercept? Point-slope, because I got a point and a slope. So what's it going to be? Y minus 1 equals negative 1/2, bracket, plus 3. See how good you guys are at this? Does anything change in number 8? It's perpendicular. So once I know this m, what do I have to do? I have to opposite and reciprocate. But does the math change? The math doesn't change. We still got to find the slope. Then we just got to remember the perpendicular means opposite reciprocal. So how do I find this slope? Does the 5 matter? No, because I only care about the slope. So what do I have to isolate? 8 or x plus 8y. So isolate y. What's moving? So 8y equals what? Negative x. What should be there that isn't? 1. Now what? Divide by 8. So y equals negative 1/8x, which means, what does negative 1/8 equal? M. But I don't want that slope. I want the perpendicular slope. So what do? I make it positive 8. So what is my m over here? Do I have an x? Do I have a y? What form should I use? Point slope. Y, what? Plus 2 equals? No. 8. X minus 3. So easy. Some of you are saying it before I can even write it down. Why have I done this to you? Didn't I say we were getting away from graphing? But we were going to use graphing as a teaching tool today, yes? All right, so let's look at A. If you were doing A, if I were to ask you to give me the equation of A, look at that line, what would you use? You have 4 choices. Which one would you use for A? You would use slope-intercept? Who agrees with my man Sat Joe? Okay, why would you use slope-intercept? Because you have an intercept. What is that intercept? Is it? You're sure it's not 3/7?
Yeah.
You sure it's not 4/9? You don't know the scale, and you don't know what that is exactly as a fraction, do you? So, could you use slope-intercept? You could. Would it be the best way to do it? What would be better? Right. How do you find the slope of a graph? You just count it. Choose a point. I'll start along here with the Price is Right music. You tell me when to stop. Okay. Right there. What's that? -2 and 3. Now I need another point so I can do slope, don't I? Okay. What's that point? 2, 4. What's my rise? 1. What's my run? 4. So what's my slope? 1/4. Do I have 2 different points I could choose from? Does it matter which one I use? Okay, so tell me if this is right. Don't write it down until you're sure it's right. Tell me if this is right. Why not? I'm using points from the graph. This needs to be +2. Is that right? Okay. Tell me if this one is right. Why not? The 2 again. I know it's blue. The 2 has to be negative. See, you're even spotting the mistakes now. Even when I'm using numbers from the graph, you're seeing the mistake. Right? Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's do B. What would you use for B? And I'll do B in bleu. Have a look at it. Tell me what you would use. Point slope again? Okay. What is the point you would start from? I've even put it on the graph as a dot this time. Negative 4, negative 1. And where's the next point you would use? Negative 2, negative 4. What's the slope? Negative 3 over 2. So what's the equation going to be? Y plus 1 equals negative 3 halves x plus 4. Is that okay? Okay. Could I have done this? Would that have been okay? Good. Why not? I'm using the wrong y. What does that need to be? 4. Because I got to remember my order. X, y, correct? All right. What about this one? Would this one be okay? That one's okay? Why? Because negative 1.5 is negative 3 halves, right? Could it be 12 over 8 for the slope? Yeah. Everybody cool? Sweet. Wow. Color me impressed. What equation would you use for C? The slope is undefined, right? General form. What's the only value you can have there? What's that point right there? 5, 0. What's that point right there? 5, 2. What's that point right there? 5, negative 2. What's that point right there? 5 something. Who cares? What's that point right there? 5 something. Who cares? What's that point right there? 5 something. Who cares? So what's the answer to C? X equals 5. What's D?
No, y equals
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. Nicely done. And lastly, E, slope-intercept form. What's the intercept? Negative 6. And how do I find the slope? Count. Tell me when to stop. Right there? Really? Right there? Okay. Right there? That's better. And what is it? What's that? What's that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's our answer? Y equals 2/7 x. What was our y-intercept? Minus 6. Holy crap. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I say it all the time. I say you're smart kids. You don't believe me. I'm actually very impressed. Can you do this back page? I bet you can. X-intercept is what? So how do I write that as a point? Because 3 isn't a point.
0.
No, you're right the first time. 3, 0, correct? Isn't that an X? Isn't that a Y? So all that means we got to find is one letter, correct? So what's 3 times 3 plus 2 times 0 minus K equals 0? What should I move right now? I should move K, shouldn't I? Because I got to find what K is. So if I move K over here, I get positive K, don't I? Great. So what is 3 times 3 plus 2 times 0? 9. So what does k equal? Done. See how easy it is? I move one thing, and I'm really working with 3x plus 2y equals k. And I'm trying to find k every time, aren't I? So what's going here? All you people that told me you didn't know what you were doing. So what's going here? 3 times what? Plus 2 times what? Equals what? What's 3 times negative 2? Negative 6 plus 0 is negative 6. So what does k equal? See how easy it is? You guys do C, D, E, and F. Go. We did A and B, correct? Yeah. Together? Okay. I'm going to show you on the screen now. C, D, E, and F. Everybody ready? How'd you do? I bet most of you did perfect, or at least got 3 out of 4. Right? Because what is it? These last 2 units are what? Everything is x, y. Even m is still x's and y's, isn't it? Every single thing from all of the last 4 units. Because even in graphing, that very first unit we did, functions, wasn't everything actually an x and a y? Except we called it IV and dv, didn't we? The whole last 4 units are all x comma y, right? Even next unit, which we're not going to start until maybe Thursday. Wednesday. Everybody cool? All right, it's 8:55. You have 35 minutes right now. 35 minutes in which to work on the assignment, which begins on the very next page. And that begins on page 232. And it goes until page 235. When is that due? No. Wednesday. Because what are we doing tomorrow? Test on graphing, right? Did the skills we did today, will they help you on your graphing test? Yeah, they will. Everybody cool? Because if you see something on your graphing test that you don't like, you can move it around now till it's something you like, can't you? Everybody is good? Go. I'm going to take attendance, and then I will start walking around and helping. But I have a sneaking suspicion that I will not need to offer a lot of help, because unless you were just lying to me for the last 46 minutes, I think you're in good shape. Deal? Okay, go.